Perrone, and basically I'm here today to talk to you about juice fasting. And some of you might feel, wow, juice fast might be kind of a big deal, just to be on juice for even like a couple of days, even one day might seem a little intimidating. So I'm here to demystify any concerns you have about taking on or conducting a fast. We're going to talk a little bit about water fasting. We're going to talk a lot about juice fasting. And we're also going to talk about other alternatives, because it's not for everyone to juice fast. Maybe you want to start off with some blends. You take that cucumber and some celery, maybe some fresh dill and some lemon with some water, maybe coconut water, and blend it up in a blender. Easy cleanup, and you'll still cleanse. So you have many options to consider. You can do straight juice. You can do a combination of juice and blends. Everybody was partying, right? New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, and I decided to fast. I only lasted a day and a half, but that was fine because that was what was resonating for you.
You're sort of not in the frame.
You can tell. Thank you. All right. Why I'm here and why I'm teaching this class. I began my journey in 1989 of being interested in wellness. I had chronic yeast infections, acne, constipation, panic attacks. I had all kinds of, not life-threatening problems, but I had some, my life, there were some issues. And then I got into a raw foods diet. Slowly, I got into this idea of becoming vegan and interested in raw foods. I don't only eat raw foods, I do eat cooked vegan foods. I eat fish maybe twice a year when I'm on vacation. There's just nothing to eat. But mostly I'm vegan. So, and my health improved dramatically. It was like a miracle. So I felt very empowered. And then years preceding that, I decided to start this little health group. And I started leading community events. So, and then later on, I discovered there was a missing piece, because I felt so great in the beginning, and then later on found that I wasn't feeling as energetic. My skin, I had more pimples than ever, but I was pooping up a storm. I wasn't constipated anymore with all those vegetables and good fiber I was eating. I didn't have chronic yeast infections anymore, but my energy wasn't quite right. I was starting to have panic attacks again. It's just like, what's going on? So I learned a little bit about colon hydrotherapy. So some people go, peak! But I decided after a friend really worked on convincing me that I should have a colonic session. And that was in '97. And I couldn't believe how much came out of me. And it changed everything. So the therapist who later became my boss and teacher, Gil Jacobs, he suggested I do a series. And I did. And within about 5 sessions, my skin cleared up, the panic attacks went away, and I was feeling really great. And what I noticed, the people that worked for him and he himself had this kind of radiant look about them. The skin was so clear, and they just sparkled. And I just felt like it was missing for me, and I felt like the people who came to my classes, also they were eating the same way, juicing, but they didn't have that kind of radiant look to their skin. And so what I discovered was the colon hydrotherapy, the idea of emptying that garbage pail, your colon, is very helpful to, being healthy, yes, but you want to be up here, you want to be the leader of the pack in a sense of health and vitality. And as we all get older, we're really looking for that, right? That fountain of youth. Some people decide to go to the doctor and go under the knife to have plastic surgery, or, people go on all kinds of crazy diets. But it's really about being healthy, So, so I'm not going to give you a colon talk the whole time, don't worry. We're first going to talk a little bit about what to expect when you're on a cleanse and, all those little details. Then we'll talk a little bit about what happens scientifically to the body when we're cleansing, and then we'll end up with how to, and go over that. So, okay, so you need to set an intention for your cleanse. Sometimes, we can have a stressful moment and lose sight of why we're even doing this. And it's a good idea to be very clear. Perhaps you want to lose a couple of pounds, or perhaps you're not feeling as energetic recently because you've been eating too much cheesecake, and starch. and dairy. So maybe lightening up the juice cleanse, you're feeling it might help, you have more energy, which is very true. That can very much happen. Maybe you're trying to get over a health problem. Maybe you're eating too much sugar and you want to get that under control. So whatever the reason that you're thinking of doing this, be very, very clear about that. Because then in a moment of like, oh, I don't know if I want to do this anymore, you can draw upon that to keep going. So what is a fast? A fast is basically when one is holding themselves off of food. So really, a true fast is a water fast. Because we're taking in no nutrition, the digestive tract is not doing anything but receiving water. So that's a true fast. But we're emphasizing juice fasting, and I recommend that a juice fast is really a great way to go, because we're bringing in this vital juice that's raw. It's made from raw foods, fruits and vegetables, and that has this wonderful vitality and energy. When you bring that into your body, it actually creates a great capacity to cleanse. The juice within itself, I believe. And the body responds to that energy being in the body. So I go into that in a little more detail when we talk about the science of fasting. Of course, if we're doing smoothies, then we're having the whole apple, the whole celery stick. So you got the fiber and you got the juice all in that blend. You might even add some coconut oil to that or some avocado. So then it becomes even a little less of a cleansing to the body, because then the liver's involved once we bring in fats. So there's different levels. Water fasting would be the most extreme, obviously, bringing in nothing but water. Then juicing, which I think is really the great way to go, because you can still go to work, you can still go to yoga class, you can still conduct all your activities. Water fasting wouldn't. And then we have blends, which gets a little heavier. But if you're someone that likes your burger and your fries, I don't know if people here at Integral Yoga like burgers and fries, but some people do. Then a blended cleanse, you could do the whole week of just blends, and you'll cleanse. You'll definitely cleanse. So you have lots of options. And you could start off one way. You could start off saying, well, I want to ease into it, so I'm going to do blends. And then you're like, oh, not a problem. I'm moving on to juice. Go up the ante a little bit, test your body a little more to get it to cleanse a little deeper. And then you're having a day, oh my God, work was like crazy. And then you get home and you feel like you need that grounding, so then you have a blend. So whatever gets you to keep with it. It doesn't have to be some test or something you're trying to prove or erase. It's not about that. And you're going to cleanse regardless. Because when we eat food, it's concentrated. It's heavy, right? And if we're eating cooked food, you're taking the water out of it, right? And so it takes a lot of energy to digest food. More energy to digest food than to even exercise. So when you remove that element of digesting that piece of bread or that rice or even the nuts, then the body gains energy, nerve energy, and that energy can be applied to healing your body, rejuvenating, renewing, replenishing, making a new you. And that's what it's all about. So a fast, in a sense, is a rest. I call it a physiological vacation that your body gets to take. You don't need a vacation. I also consider it a house cleaning measure. So your body gets a chance to clean itself. The trillions of cells that your body has needs nutrition and oxygen. And when we give it a chance to release gases and toxins and poisons, those toxins and poisons are going to be released into the bloodstream, and they're going to find different avenues out of the body. So you have organs that hold toxins more so, like kidney and liver is more of the detoxifiers. So if you were to start going on juice tomorrow, what do you think you might experience? What would you expect that you might feel?
Withdrawal from caffeine.
Oh, withdrawal from caffeine. Yeah, so she might feel kind of like a little foggy brain, edgy, tired. Headache is common. Excuse me? Spaced out, yeah, if you're used to coffee. So sometimes the first day too is hard for most people because if you're a coffee drinker, you might get a headache. And people come to me and they're like, oh, I took an Advil. I'm like, no! You're cleansing, you're not supposed to take an Advil. Not good. So, so the coffee drinkers, maybe, that could be a hard one. My ex-boyfriend, he lasted 2 days. And it was the coffee that we made fun for him. But yeah, if you can get through that, then it's a marvelous thing, because if you can fast for a couple of days or a week, you may pick up coffee. Yeah. And I find in the afternoon when I need a little pick-me-up, if I'm back-to-back all day seeing clients and I'm sitting in a little room and I'm like, oh, I need something. I have green juice. So green juice will wake you up. It's better than coffee. Anything else? Any other things come to mind in my experience? Yeah.
Hunger and headaches.
That's good, yes, hunger. So you might feel more hungry. In the beginning, you might find that, like I did, so you drink more juice. Or maybe you'll have a smoothie, because that's going to be a little heavier. And so emotionally it might work for you. But usually after day 3 of your cleanse, you start to feel like you're kind of rolling a bit. And you don't really feel so hungry, you feel better. I'm a lightweight, but I have like lots of energy, like a high metabolism person. So I need to drink about 96 ounces of juice. So I know Integral Yoga is offering 10% off. I don't know if it's a juice or several juices. Anyone who is part of this class, I think you're supposed to get a coupon downstairs, and you can get some money off a juice downstairs. But anyway, there are, I usually will drink about 16 ounces of juice at a time, and I usually need to do 2 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, and 2 in the evening. Now, if somebody has a slower metabolism, where you feel like you eat a little bit, you gain weight like that, sorry, then you may be fine on 4 juices a day. So the minimum I recommend is 64 ounces. I meet people and they're doing less than that, and I'm amazed. I think that it borders on being too close to a water fast. And you might think you're okay, but then all of a sudden it might hit you and you might feel a little faint. So that's another thing that may come up. You could feel a little dizzy, a little woozy on your cleanse. If that happens, drink more juice. You're not drinking enough juice. So, and I suggest to always have juice with you. Hello.
Excuse me.
You might feel more cold. You might feel chilled. That's why it can be a little more challenging at this time of the year. So, you may need a sweater. I found that my feet were very cold when I was fasting on this when I got into the second day or so. And so you might need an extra pair of socks. Hot tea is okay if it's herbal. You could do lemon or hot water. You could do broths. And that helps at this time of the year. You could also put a little cayenne in your juice. It's really will get the circulation going. If you want to add a little spice like that, a little cayenne pepper, that is totally okay. And you might feel also, you might notice that your breath is a little foul. You might notice that your body odor is a little more intense. Sometimes not at all. So, but you don't have to worry that someone's going to be like, whoa, if they get too close to you. It's funny, one time I did a fast, and after the cleanse, I stunk for like 5 days. During the cleanse, I was fine, but once I broke it, I was like, what is going on? And so you just don't know, and that's the other thing. You can end your cleanse, let's say after 3 days, and it's not like you turn the detox faucet off. You might keep right on cleansing, especially if you're easing off of it. We're going to talk about breaking the fast, and you do it properly, and you're doing it slowly, easing back onto your food, your regular food, and your regular diet. The one way that you can tell whether you're cleansing is to look at your tongue. You'll look at your tongue, sometimes in the morning it looks a little white or whatever. Some people scrape their tongue every morning. It's a good thing to do. But you'll see it's like really furry when you're cleansing. So a lot of toxins coming out through the mouth. I always feel around my gum line. I always feel that my gums and my teeth become almost like very sensitive. It almost feel like they're hot. So I know I'm putting out through my gums. This last cleanse, it felt like something was always in my eyes. It wasn't like a bad or annoying thing, but I felt like I wanted to rub my eyes. So I wear makeup, and I'm like, something's coming out through around my eyes. So sometimes you get little sensations and stuff like that. Your body's just putting out in various ways. But the tongue, it's good to scrape your tongue if you can during your cleanse. But it is a dead ringer that things are underway. Especially if you see that in the middle of the day. It's like that. And whether you're on juice or smoothies, you can see that. So if you develop a rash, if you have a breakout of pimples, you need a colonic, and you're way overdue. So when you're having an adverse thing that comes up like that, it's a sign that your body is not putting out the toxins. You are reabsorbing, and the body is trying to find another avenue out. And that avenue would be through the skin, which is fairly harmless, right? Because it's not life-threatening. So when the avenues of elimination are blocked, so how does your body cleanse? How are these toxins coming out? I was about to say that before. Through the breath, through the skin, and through the bowel. So the bowel is the best way because you're just pooping it out or peeing it out. That's the best way to go. But if the bowel is blocked, because you got stuff in there from when you were 6 years old, right? then you're adding more on there because of the cleanse, then it will find another way out. So I met a woman called me and she was upset because I didn't know her. She just heard about me and she gave me a call. And she said she conducted a 40-day juice fast without any colon cleansing. And she reached like day 30-something and she got sick. She got fever, she was blowing her nose, she got the whole thing. And then she broke her fast, and not in a good way, and she felt like she messed herself up. And she just didn't feel right. So that's what happens. It's almost like you're trying to encourage these toxins to leave, then they're blocked, and then in her case it came out through the lungs. So we want to make sure you're cleansing properly. And that's why you're here today, which I'm really happy because I meet people all the time like that who are doing things and I'm like, oh my God. You really take responsibility and do it right. You may find that you have more energy. Surprisingly enough, you may find that you feel like you don't need as much sleep. Instead of getting your 7 or 8 hours, you might be fine on 5 hours of sleep, right around the go, waking up without the alarm at 6 o'clock in the morning. But then you might feel at 2 o'clock in the afternoon you would like to take a nap. So it can really vary a bit in terms of your energy. You can be really flying and feeling so great, and then you might have a day where you're feeling a little more tired. That's normal. Again, nothing where you can't work. So that's the nice thing about juice fasting. You can work, you can conduct your activities. And the urine may be a little darker, you might notice, and you may notice less bowel movements because there's not much fiber to push everything through. So it may sit. So that's another problem because we want to keep that moving. Your mind may be much sharper. I always find that even spiritually I feel very tuned in. I feel like I'm watching my life. It's almost like being in the third person, and I can be talking to someone and I feel like I'm almost like high on something, and I'm like watching everything, like the observer, watching myself, and it's sort of like, whoa, I'm like, wow, it's freaky, like, but it's pretty cool because everything gets brighter, colors seem brighter to me, everything seems sharper, smells more sensitive. The subway is not fun. Right? Not good this time, right? But yeah, you're going to be, your senses are very sharp during this time. So that can be a really good thing, except if you go into the subway. So we're looking to heal, repair, replenish, renew our bodies. Gandhi, of course, fasted. He's documented for spiritual atonement. It's mentioned in the Bible. There's fasting. People do that to connect spiritually. And the body, in a sense, has the opportunity to cast out old cells and renew by creating new cells. Just creating that opportunity for the body to really be the best it can. And then, yeah, you might lose some weight. So that's, can be a plus for some people. During a fast, your respiration slows down, your heart rate, your pulse, your nervous system. You're going to feel a little more relaxed. 2 years ago, a dear friend of mine who moved from New York to Seattle, married 2 children, and we would talk every few months. And she told me she had a friend with colon cancer. And she'd say, Donna, you're a colon therapist, and she had a colonic, blah, blah, blah. And I talked to her. I'm like, I'll talk to your friend. You can have your friend call me. She said, no. That's okay, it's okay. And then and every time I would talk to her, she would say, how are you? I want to know about you. I'm like, you never talk about yourself. Like, I get off the phone, 2-hour conversation, and hardly say anything. Her husband called me around this time 2 years ago, and he said, did she tell you what was going on? I'm like, no, what's going on? She died of colon cancer. So I was like this. I was like, I couldn't stop shaking for a couple of days. Guess what I did? I went on a green juice fast. Those greens loaded with magnesium. How do you calm your body down? Magnesium, right? So going through a little crisis, fast. Bring in the green juices with abundance, or make smoothies with greens. The juicing calmed me right down. You're all writing this down. But yes, it was the best therapy I could give to my body. And also, again, it helped me to sort of connect with what I was feeling. Just to slow down a little bit instead of like, go. And I felt like it helped me through, processing what happened. And she did this because she didn't want to talk about her sickness with me, her New York friends. She wanted to be normal with us. She could because she lived in Seattle, so she could pretend. So